you a home grower looking for a little bit of help? Are you ready to learn as much as you can about your favorite hobby? The Homegrown Helpers brings you informative interviews from experienced growers that have taken the next steps in their journey and decided to help you grow top quality cannabis all in your home. Now welcome in our host, Rob Smith, along with this week's Homegrown Helper. And welcome to the show, everyone. Are you ready for this week's grow tips and tricks from another Homegrown Helper? All right, me too. We have a really awesome interview in store for you today. Ravi joins us as another consultant north of the border as Canada embraces nationwide legalization and the right to grow 4 plants in pretty much every household nationwide. One thing that really stuck with me from this interview is his thoughts on the character traits it takes to be a successful grower. Don't forget, if you need a consultant of your own, hit us up at rob@thehomegrownhelpers.com. So I have to let you know something. Obviously, our membership program, mygrowpass.com, has been booming as we offer great discounts, audio content, and amazing giveaways. And we get new members pretty much every single day. That means we're very close to capping our founding members and raising our prices very soon. We're going to be bumping up our veg level from $9.95 to $14.95 a month and bloom from $19.95 to $29.95 per month. Now, our founding members are locked in at this low price for the entire time they are a member. As long as they don't let their membership lapse, they're going to be locked in at that $9.95 and $19.95 price. But there's still a bit of time to get in there. Maybe like a week or so before we reach our limits and have to raise those prices. Even with the value is still amazing, you won't ever beat these founding member prices. So if you're interested, now is the time to act and head on over to mygrowpass.com and check out the benefits and join today. Want to give a big shout out to our GrowPass partners for this show, Gorilla Grow Tents. That is giving away one 4x8 grow tent, which is a $565 value to one lucky winner in our 5K giveaway. That is being drawn on October 1st. You get entries for every month that you are a member. Every time your card renews, you get entries. Also, Newt Tools, creators of the Newt Needle, making precise nutrition for your plants easier than ever. Also want to give you a friendly reminder to help us to keep growing by giving us a rating and review. They've been coming in pretty steady, but with still less than 10% of our audience delivering one for us. So if you'd like what you hear, please help us out and give us a rating and review on whatever podcast app you're listening to us on. Or share the podcast with someone who may need it. That's another way you can help us grow and show your appreciation. So let's welcome in this week's Homegrown Helper, Ravi Roy.
Hello.
Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
So, Ravi, tell us a little bit about yourself, the name of your company, where you're from, and how long you've been growing cannabis.
My name of my company is Monarch Cannabis Consulting. We're located in Toronto, Canada. I am a passionate home grower. I've been home growing for almost about 15 years now. I do have also lots of other experience outside of just growing cannabis. I grow lots of vegetables, flowers, plants, almost everything and anything I can get my hands on. Started this business as legalization back in October as a little dream of mine to be able to want to work in the industry if it ever became legal. I was on a break from my job I had before that, so I had some time to think about my options, and I decided to go for it. And here I am, 8 months later, living my dream.
Awesome. So what made you take the leap from just growing your own cannabis at home and probably sharing that with friends to start that cannabis consulting business and helping other people learn to grow it their own?
It was just always a passion of mine. I grown up kind of at a young age. I was introduced to cannabis at probably a younger age than most people. So I had also a background from my parents being a doctor, my mother, and a chemical background forestry professor at the University of Toronto. My father always were teaching me things about stuff in the garden. And I was able to translate that over, my lifetime to cannabis. So eventually when I was able to get my hands on some cannabis seeds later on in my lifetime, it just kind of grew from there. Friends, I've always had a lot of friends around the culture, friends in the industry. So I've always had kind of the examples set out there for me, plus myself doing my own research and all that kind of stuff over time led me to want to be able to help people do this at home for themselves on a budget scale, which is something that I believe can be done. You just need a little bit more know-how and a little bit more hands-on. And and I try to get my message out there to people nowadays, since it's legalized here in Canada. Where the 4-plant minimum is a little tough, maximum a little tough, but hopefully we can work on that.
Great. Yeah, the 4-plant maximum. It'd be nice if it was a minimum, huh?
Yeah.
But the 4-plant maximum insists that people are creative and learn to train and get the most out of their plants. And we'll get into that question in just a little bit. So tell me about your current grow setup. How big's the room? How many plants do you have in there? What style of grow do you have going on?
I got a basic style going on. I've run this style ever since I started growing. I've had a little hydroponic pumping. I've had a little cloning machine. And over a couple of years, I decided I've had just pretty much reasonable success without those machines. My setup is, again, very basic. I run only 2 lights in my flower room, 2 1000s, HSP high pressure. And then I run a bunch of T5 so far in my bedroom to get my plants started out there. I use easy bags for CO2. I have fans, a dehumidifier, pretty much the basics. I run a 20 by 10 room for flower, and I run about a 2.5, 3 foot by 10 foot vegging space / cloning area. Very basic, very simple. I do seeds, I do clones. I don't care for technically feminized, this, that, super powerful, super this. I'll grow anything. It doesn't matter.
Cool. Right on.
Yeah, and I do soil. All my stuff is in soil. I don't mind a little bit of work on my setup of bringing it from one room to the other. That way I keep my areas clean. I keep my areas tidy. And that way it keeps pretty much does that without having to do work within the actual grow room. You bring the plants out so you can do work in an actual space that's catered to it.
Okay, great. So the soil that you're using, anything specific, or is it a super soil or an innate?
Super soil. I call it like an ultra soil. I try to go as organic as possible. I don't want to try to bring in too many, compounds that are not, I don't believe that are necessary for growing certain things or certain styles. So my soil is composting. It is a mixture of guano. It is a mixture of coco. It is a mixture. I can go on a peat. I can go perlite, glacial rock dust. If you check me out on Instagram, I actually have a little post dedicated to my super soil / ultra soil that I use. Bone blood meal. I'll even go to the point of using crushed up eggshells from composting. Like my soil, I try to get as much of my soil as possible.
Cool.
Yeah, I build my microbes as much as I can.
Cool. So you mentioned Instagram. Where can people find you?
They can find me at Monarch Cannabis Consulting.
Cool. So Instagram, Monarch Cannabis Consulting. That's easy enough.
Yeah, very simple. Or my name, Ravi Roy, show up as 2 of them. Just make sure my personal is my personal, and my other one is my business.
Right on. So what's one thing that a grower, what's the one thing that a grower should be paying attention to when it comes to overall plant health and making sure that our plants are super healthy?
The environment in which we're choosing to grow in. Yeah. And then you break it down from there. The environment that you're looking to grow in, then the style, right? And then you have to look at, okay, now what am I going to be dealing with? Am I going to deal with a certain amount of plants? You break it down from there. What am I going to have to bring in equipment-wise? This, and this. Everything. It all will apply. Like I said, I don't believe in bringing in massive pieces of equipment necessarily. I've seen people do a 10 by 10 room and have some air exhaust fan that's meant for like a 3,000 square foot place. And I'm like, guys, what are you doing? But it's just simple, basic knowledge that people need just to, at the end of the day, you have to remember it is a plant. It will grow based on certain circumstances. Everybody is not a business out there. Not everybody can afford to maybe perhaps buy their cannabis or feel iffy about going out there and buying cannabis on the market, even though it's legal. They might want to grow it at home, for their own sake. And, I don't know what more to add to that one.
Sure. So what's the perfect environment look like? Like, how does a grower achieve that perfect environment?
Perfect environment is based on what cannabis, to me, is what cannabis requires, at least. The basic requirements for the cannabis. So you need, obviously, certain lighting, certain nutrients, certain types of soil, certain, measures of within the room to be able to do it. Like I said, the environment has to be kind of perfect for the setting. If you're running, obviously, any sort of hydroponics, aquaponics systems, to me, you're going to need a little bit more airflow. There's going to be more humidity. There's going to be more moisture within the air. So you're going to most likely have to bring in more equipment. So to bring that perfect grow, you have to look at the environmental conditions in which cannabis, in a sense, thrives at.
Okay. So let's move on to getting the most out of those limited plant counts like we were talking about earlier. You have a plant count of 4 plants maximum flowering throughout Canada. And sometimes growers don't get enough out of those plants. So what would your advice be to a grower that's looking to increase their yield off of a limited plant count?
You definitely want to make sure you have some good nutrients in there. If you're using synthetic fertilizers or anything of that, make sure you're on par with all that stuff. Make sure your plants are nice and healthy. Look for certain strains that obviously could produce a little bit more towards the yield side. Obviously, you can fem and top and plant and to push, certain weight, certain areas to get a bigger yield in weight. If you would like that kind of thing, or if you're looking for more of bigger bud, or you don't care for the bud size and you're just looking at whatever amount that you can possibly get, you're looking at probably more of a 50-50 blend. It's a kind of a hard question because everybody's different. And I get a lot of these questions about what is cannabis to people? Well, what is their purpose for it? What do they like to use it for? And that's usually the style in which somebody is going to grow. If they're going to grow for just themselves and they're going to want to have a moderate yield for just themselves, they'll grow only 4 plants and they'll grow 4 big plants and they'll top them, they'll fem them, they'll stretch them, they'll screen them, they'll do whatever they possibly can to maximize the yield. Again, there's a lot of pruning techniques, monster cropping things that people can use to help boost their crops. Again, obviously environmental conditions, you have your proper lighting, whether you're going LEDs or not, make sure everything is on par, your room conditions, your airflow, everything is on par. Those will definitely help. Another thing that people might not think about too much is the pressure within the room that it creates. If you ever relieve pressure out of a room, the plants kind of maybe droop down a little bit because pressure within the room with all the airflow is actually helping the plants kind of stay up a little bit. It's not blowing the plants over, whipping them from side to side. It's blowing around the plant, not over top of them and through the plants necessarily. So again, environmental room conditions are key, and then you go for your lighting and your equipment afterwards based on the amount of plants that you're going to grow in that space.
So we have all that stuff dialed in. We have the environment under control. What's the one thing you touched upon it? I think we were getting there, but if you had to give one piece of advice, the one thing to look at for a grower, an experienced grower that wants to get 10 or 20% more out of their plants, what's that one thing that you'd say, maybe this is something you should try?
I would have to go for the nutrients in your soil.
Okay, great.
Go for an organic, build a monster, I call it monster soil, an ultra soil, a super, super, super duper soil. Your lighting it will work. Everybody knows how the lighting is these days, and it's pretty straightforward. It's nothing in the dark anymore. So lighting is lighting. And obviously, like I said, one of the main things is environment. The room environment has to be adequate enough for what you're able to do. And then I would say your soil. Your soil is where you're going to keep all your nutrients. Your soil is where you're going to have your microbes. Your soil is what's going to feed your root system. It's going to feed the plant. It's going to feed the leaves. It's going to feed that whole thing from start to finish.
Cool.
So if you already know that your soil is top notch, plus your nutrients and all of that stuff is on par with whatever it is you choose to use, whether it's composting, to make your own fertilizers, which I do use, and I do not use the full mixture or values of synthetic fertilizers. I actually switched them out with a little bit of composting. I still take my pH readings and everything like that to make sure I'm on par. I have to be. But yes, the soil, if you have a really good soil, you'll get a lot of microbes. If you build your super soil, to me, that's like basis for having healthy plants. And any yield will do very well. Like I've had plants do that I've not expected to do well at all, and put them into like my soil under my conditions. And I have a plant that had 2 nodes on it, skinny little thing, clone from like a 5th, 6th generation that I cut. Didn't expect it to survive, and now it's a 4x4 plant.
Cool. Yep, that's good, huh?
Yeah. So the soil is very important. Your microbes, all of that, that's going to carry that plant from start, pretty much to start, whether it's a seed or a clone, all the way up through harvest.
Cool. Yeah. Soil definitely feeds and supports and makes the magic possible. So we're going to take a quick break here for our mygrowpass.com sponsors. First up is Newt Tools. Newt Tools is an amazingly simple device, allowing you to precisely measure your nutrients without ever wasting a single drop. Comprised of a 100 milliliter syringe and a 14-inch stainless steel needle, it's perfect to fit many bottled nutrients on the market. With a 1-year warranty and a multitude of uses, this is a must-have in any serious gardener's toolkit. Visit newttools.com, that's NUTETOOLS.com, and use code GROWCAST to save 10% off, or join GrowPass and get a code for 25% off your very own Newt tool. I got to tell you, that is something that you need to have in your garden if you're sticking with bottled nutrients. It is a must-have. Next up, we have Gorilla Grow Tent. Are you frustrated with cheap, flimsy grow tents that don't stand the test of time? Well, a group of California growers, designers, and engineers collaborated in San Francisco back in 2011 to revolutionize the future of indoor gardening. Each Gorilla Grow Tent comes with a free 1-foot height extension kit, and if that's not enough, Gorilla has a 2-foot extension kit available for you. This allows your tent to reach an astounding height of nearly 10 feet tall. It's the tallest, thickest, and strongest grow tent on the market. Visit GorillaGrowTent.com and use code GROWCAST for free shipping. If you're ready to really save some money, join mygrowpass.com to gain access to a 10% off code. They are also giving away a 1 4x8 grow tent to one lucky winner in our 5K quarterly giveaway drawn on October 1st. So if you want entries to have your chances at winning a $2,000 prize pack, including that grow tent, you got to sign up today so you can maximize those chances, because you get entries with each and every billing cycle. So thanks to Newt Tools and Gorilla Grow Tent for being such wonderful partners of ours. So Ravi, do you have any unique grow tips or tricks that you'd like to share with our audience? Something that is a little off the wall for them.
Unique grow tips. Let's see. I can only say the only best thing, because I've learned from guys that have been around, the Horace, around the Arjans, the you name them, those kind of guys. Those are the guys that I learned from back in the day when I'm only 34 years old. So I know some of those guys have been doing techniques, femming, topping, and all of that kind of stuff.
Well, if you've learned from a lot of old school growers, they're full of unique tips. So not everybody does things like that.
Exactly. Yeah. So, yeah, my unique tips would be obviously your soils. Make sure your soils are pretty much top notch. After that, I would say your pruning techniques is a good tip. Make sure where the good bud sites are going to be once they develop, starting pushing growth into specific areas as opposed to losing potential potency in other loose areas or weaker buds, smaller buds, which are less ideal for growers these days. For me, I don't personally care for the size of bud. I'm not going to lie, as long as it's a dense bud and it does what it's supposed to do. Obviously, with the trimming time, it does save a little bit on the trimming time. But crop your plants. Yeah, trim them, top them, fem them. My little plant that had 1 or 2 nodes, skinny clone, 5th generation, 6th generation. All I did was take off the 2 leaves. Is it 2 inner nodes at the side leaves, and I just fem the top. And like I said, it's a 4x4 plant now with I won't even call it a stem anymore. I call it a trunk. And this is an indoor. It's not an outdoor plant. Usually, I get plants like this outside. This is an indoor plant that did this, and it's on my Instagram page, and it's in flower right now, along with a couple other plants. So fem, top, monster crop, green.
Great.
Boost the yield as much as you can. Push the potency into the areas that are going to produce big buds or buds that are going to be at least good enough size for the individual. If you're growing for dispensary purposes or retail purposes, obviously you'll want a bigger nug, a more healthier, big, chunky nug. At home, you can be a little bit more lenient with it, and potentially use the term "go for the yield" and kind of reduce the amount of, say, so-called potency within the plant if you're going to keep a little bit more of the smaller buds. But over time, something like that, you'll know what to keep and what to get rid of to make sure you still hit that potency level that you're looking for.
Cool. So what type of character traits or characteristics are the most important for a grower to succeed in the grow room?
Oh, my key things are you got to have determination, dedication, and passion, because that will trump any situation. Any situation that I've ever had in a garden has been trumped on my dedication and determination, and then obviously my passion for this plant.
So what about those things that you think helps get growers over those humps? Because we're all going to run into problems, right?
Well, yeah, again, you have to, I believe you have to look at what you're growing for. Like, if you're growing strictly for business purposes, I've been asked to grow for companies or distributors or whatever, suppliers, dispensaries. I've actually turned those down. I've said no to those people. It's not because I have lots of money or anything like that. No, I'm just, I don't want to lose my humbleness for something that I believed in since I was, not going to lie, 12 years old. I've always dreamed of being in this environment, in this culture. So I've always been passionate. I've always been determined and dedicated to the plant since I was pretty much 12 years old, and knowing what it could do at that age has trumped pretty much anything. I go through ups and downs. I lose plants. I have amazing plants. I have plants that don't grow so well. Plants that flip into males. But hey, I just keep chugging away at it because I love the plant. I just love the way it grows and what it looks like. Even if I probably wasn't even a user, I probably would just grow it for fun.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, the determination, dedication, and passion are 3 that regularly pop up on the show, but we like to dig in a little bit and hear what a grower actually thinks about those character traits. So thanks for sharing. So we're going to wrap up in just a few questions, and a reminder to our audience that we do have some bonus content coming as we wrap this up. So you can head on over to the homegrownhelpers.com/bonus to gain access to the rest of the interview. Just another 5 questions where we get a little more personal, a little more grow advice, and some tips and tricks. So Ravi, really the last question for you as part of this interview. What is the last bit of advice that you'd like to give to every grower listening? We have about 300 or 400 growers that download the show regularly. So what type of advice would you give them in order to be successful?
To be successful, just remain, obviously you have to remain determined, remain passionate. Good things come to those who wait. You never know until you try. I'm a classic example of that, and there's lots of other examples of other guys out there and companies out there that just took a chance, and here they are today, and they're doing big things, and a lot of people know them and all this stuff. So you never know. Just take a chance. I did it. took a chance, started my first grow. Didn't work out very well, I had a plant stolen. But again, just keep doing what you do and remain passionate. Things you'll learn through time, and you'll better yourself and you'll better your crop, and to the point where one day you'll be sitting there going, geez, I can't believe that I've known this. I can't believe that I did this. Keep it. It's a dream, keep that dream alive as much as you can.
It's a pretty amazing feeling when you pull down that first crop and realize that it's something that you grew, and everything that you put into it, came back out of that plant, isn't it?
Yeah. It's a beautiful plant in itself. My background is from India. I'm from India, born, but I moved to Canada when I was a little baby. Yeah, so I'm, again, definitely very familiar with the plant itself. And I've had a lot of people over my lifetime that have taught me about the plant and what it does, what it's good for, and all these beneficial things. So when this industry kind of blew up, I just realized that, oh my goodness, there's one day I had a potential to maybe work within the industry. And like I said, as soon as it became legal here in Canada, I decided, hey, you know what? Why not chase my dream? And here I am 8 months later, and I'm probably the happiest that I've been in a very long time. I can't remember. Probably over 10 years ago, I could probably say I was this happy.
Awesome. Good for you, man. Good for you. So, Ravi, how can our audience learn more from you, find and connect with you?
Right now, I'm a one-man show. So I do everything for my business, plus my own gardening, front to back. It's only me, just me. I don't have helpers. So my only channel for people to get to me at the moment is through Instagram. Obviously, through cell phone, email, text message, anything of that nature. I do have all of that, but unfortunately, I do not have a website yet. Something I'm still working on, taking its time. But I do have an Instagram page where I do post my pictures pretty frequently of not just my cannabis growing. I show my pictures of my other gardens that I do have, because it kind of shows the translation in those plants that I grow outside of cannabis and what I've learned and some of the techniques people can kind of match to cannabis, which is, I guess, would say to me would be interesting. Because people grow flowers and veggies at home, and they don't realize, there's certain attributes to that can pertain to cannabis. So my Instagram page kind of shows them a little bit about that. It shows them a basic idea of you don't need all this killer equipment to do, good things. You just need a little bit of what's necessary. Again, room environment, and obviously a little bit of know-how. And my Instagram page is kind of dedicated to people who are interested in that kind of aspect on a simple scale, as opposed to the big industrial scale grows that you see, or the big guys that like to grow stuff at home for dispensary purposes and stuff like that. This is more for the people that want to do it at home or want to learn how to do it at home, or finesse their way of doing it at home without having to break the bank.
Cool. Awesome. And just as a reminder, that Instagram handle is Monarch Cannabis Consulting.
That is correct.
So find him on IG, find Ravi, connect with him. And if you're up in the Toronto area, maybe you can recruit his services and learn from the man. So we are going to wrap things up here, but don't forget thehomegrownhelpers.com/bonus. And a big shout out to our membership program, mygrowpass.com, GROPASS.com. And thanks so much for listening. And thanks, Ravi, for joining us.
Yeah, thank you.
Happy growing, guys.